Okay. I've got water. I've got a brush. I've got paint. Do I have everything? I think I do. Let's get started. Oh, I need an eraser. Okay. I was not prepared. Okay. You know what else I forgot? I don't necessarily need it, but it is useful to have, which is tape. Ooh, shaking the table. I remember as a kid having teachers complain to me all the time, like, you're erasing too hard, you're going to shake the table and it's going to affect the other students. Which is true. Of course, I was kind of that way with just drawing too. When I drew, I really had a tendency to dig into the surface pretty hard. I've gotten better about that as I've gotten older. I think learning to use a brush in terms of inking helped a lot. Just learning how to ink in general helped a lot with that. Okay, I think this is probably good to go. Alright. Maybe I'll erase these other two too. Because my plan is I'm going to do all three of these tonight. That's what I'm thinking. That is what I am thinking. I guess we'll see how far we get. We still have to just do the one, right? I'm already planning well ahead of myself. I'm seeing little things I might want to adjust or change on this illustration before I go to paint it. So, where's my brush? I keep hiding my brush from myself. And I think the stream is down. Maybe. Well, that's fun. Ooh. Let's see what's going on here. Did the internet go down? No, internet's still there. OBS? Seems fine. Just seems like it's unhappy. Maybe it's just unhappy with how much I was shaking the camera. Hold on, y'all. Let's see if I can fix this. What if I do this? What if I do that? Yes, we're going to connect a device. Oh my god, we fixed it in live. That's incredible. Oh my god. Y'all have no idea how magical that feeling is to me. Because previously, I guess I should not erase on this table. Or I should thematic. In the past, I would erase, well, in the past, like, you know, with that blasted AI camera, it was because I wasn't using OBS, right? Now that I'm using OBS, it's not so big of a deal if the camera disconnects. I can just reconnect it. And, you know, as you saw, it can be fixed. That's very magical to me. Oh, that's right. I was going to do something else. I need a pin. Because I was just noticing, like, I don't know. Maybe it, like, should her thumb stick out a little bit? Or no? Maybe not. I didn't want to do that. Like that and that. Maybe that. Sure. Okay. One more. I'm gonna try not to try not to knock the camera loose again. Let's see if I can pull it off. But yeah, before I interrupted myself with my erasing. Ooh, that was something that needed to be fixed too. Oh, there's just so many little things I keep catching. Anyway, like I was saying, like, and I feel like this is pretty typical of most, maybe not most artists, but probably with a lot of artists starting off young, is like, you do really want to dig into the canvas because there's kind of this intuitive sense that the harder you grip and the harder that you press down into the surface, the more control you have over like where the line's gonna go. As I'm getting older, like I'm starting to learn, like actually, all the good stuff comes when you have like less control. When you put less control over your circumstances, if that makes sense, right? Like, you know, learning to let go a bit. Not the easiest request, right? It's not the easiest request in the world, but in general, I'm finding that to be pretty good advice. Spend a little less time trying to control every single little variable and let some things work themselves out naturally. Where you can afford to do that, right? Not everything's like that, but many things are. Okay, I guess we'll just start with this one. First of all, I'm just like knocking everything around tonight. Need a palette, presumably, with paint. I need my paints. We're gonna open up. Okay, main colors here are gonna be light coral. Not that one. Although maybe. A little bit of the not the burnt, the raw umber. Still not the color I'm looking for though. There it is. Ivory black. Orange. I'm trying to figure out if I need any. Oh, no, that should be fine. I think that'll be good. And anything else I need, I can just kind of use, you know, whatever garbage is laying around in the palettes. Right? Do a little extra cleanup here because I'm just seeing some loose pencil lines just kind of flung around here. All right. So let's get started. I'm just gonna put down some paint on the palette. Get this brush wet. And presumably, we'll get started here. Although I do want to add, like, I don't want to just go in with straight light coral for flesh tone. I want to add a little bit of, like, I think this is like some of that ripe sienna or whatever it's called. Add that in. Maybe add in a little more. Like a little more? Like just maybe a little more than that. Yeah. That'll probably be good. Always you can check taking out maybe some tissue paper or a spare piece of paper. Blot it down. It's pretty much what I was looking for. The camera does not quite catch the color like I would like it to, but that's okay. Alright. So we'll just go. Oh, wait, I was gonna... should I tape down the canvas or not? I feel like it... I always regret it when I don't, so I'll do that. Oh, come on. I get like a little bit of paint here on the canvas. Oh well. I'll take care of that later. Or I can take care of it right now with watercolor magic. 1 second. Just blot it. Blot it. Yeah, now I really need to tape it down. It did help, but didn't get all of it. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, the nature of watercolor is such that it's very, I mean, obviously it's very susceptible to water, right? So you can do a fair amount of, not erasing, but like picking up, you know, unwanted color by simply just blotting it, dabbing it. And then it'll eventually go away if you're patient with it. Like so many things in life, if you're patient, good things can happen. It's never really a guarantee, but certainly raises the probabilities. Of course, one could argue the opposite end. If you wait long enough, bad things can happen too. Sure. But wouldn't that be the case for both things? If you wait long enough, both bad and good things will happen. If you wait long enough, maybe anything will happen. I don't know. So anyway, I'm just going to start somewhere easy. It's always the way I like to do it. Start somewhere easy and then build from there. And just take your time. Although every once in a while there are circumstances where you can't take your time, but generally if you take your time, you shouldn't have too many problems. Bump the camera again. So just going to start on these hands. And lay down the flesh tone first. It could have been anything else, but I was just like, I'll start with flesh tone. I could have started with the helmet. I could have started with the clothes. But I chose flesh tone. So today, my father and his girlfriend, partner, what have you, returned from, yeah, I'll say partner. My father and his partner. They don't tell me, so I'm just guess, How do y'all want to be referred? Um, returned from a trip, and they brought with them a really delicious croissant, a dessert croissant. It was like an almond. I mean, I guess the best way I could describe it, it was just like a buttery, sweet almond croissant. And the thing about it is, like, it weighed like a pound. Like, it was a pound of, like, dessert croissant. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever eaten. It was just amazing. Um, they got it from, like, I can't remember what they call it in Spanish, but, like, a Mexican bakery. So, like, is that Panaderia? I can't remember. Um, anyway, holy crap. So I ate half of it because it's like there's no way, there's no reasonable sense under which I should eat this thing all in one sitting. So like I ate half of it and like started watching this movie called The Great Race, which is like this old 1965 movie that is, it's in the era of movie making where like if they ever did any musicals, they would have like the little bouncing ball so you could sing along. Which, there was a time when that was a thing. Anyway, weird movie. I enjoyed it. It was kind of like it was an adventure movie, and it was clearly like a family kids movie. But it was at that time in American movies where like it was too expensive to do animation for whatever reason. Maybe they were dealing with inflation at that time too. Who knows? I don't really know why. Animation just wasn't in at the time. And so everybody was like, "Let's do live action." And like this was kind of around the time when Disney did 2000, what the heck was that thing called? 2000 Leagues Under the Sea? 20,000? No, it's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The thing with Nemo, right? Um, later on, they would do like The Black Hole, another kind of doomed Disney live feature. So anyway, this was another. I don't know what company made The Great Race, but anyway, whatever company studio made it, they were basically like, let's just do wacky races but live action because it's pretty much what it was, like the Hanna-Barbera cartoon wacky races. Um, except there was only two groups racing. There wasn't like a whole bunch of people racing, which was kind of disappointing. Um, but it was fun still. Like it was like a fun light romp through the 60s with a certain amount of just like pie fights, like almost obligatory. I'd almost say like that movie had an obligatory pie fight scene, uh, which was charming in its own weird way because, I mean, when's the last time you watched a movie that had a pie fight scene? I mean, really honestly, look into your memory and ask yourself, when's the last time I saw a good pie fight scene in a movie? And I bet you the answer is you can't remember. Well, if you want a good one, I suggest you watch The Great Race because it has a pretty good one. But by around that time, like I pretty much finished the pie fight scene, and I was just like, there's no way I can live with myself having eaten a pound of like dessert croissant without like doing some kind of something like exercise or something. So I ended up going to yoga, went to yoga, and I was like, I can't in good conscience go to yoga and then feel really nice and great and whatever and not use this nice great feeling and then like take it into some kind of artistic endeavor today. Cuz like I spent the weekend dog sitting, which was really nice. Dog sitting a very adorable and sweet and sleepy golden doodle. That is not the color that I want. I need more orange. Needs more orange. And golden doodle's name is Ellie Mae, and she's a super sweet dog. And all she really does is sleep and then want to go for like a little bit of a walk, but not too much of a commitment. She's like, I can only go so far, and I want to go back. You know, really likes to share the bed. And like, you know, very fierce cuddler, that dog. Anyway, that was my weekend. That and board gaming, and so I was, I was thinking to myself, I can't just have all this good energy and not put it to use on some kind of artistic endeavor. So I was like, you know what? I have those things that I need to paint, so let's paint them today. Hopefully I can get this orange going. I'm trying to get it properly set up, but I keep getting kind of it's too brown. Needs more orange. Maybe I should... No, it does need more orange. Absolutely. Why am I even questioning myself on this? It's ridiculous. At the end of the day, all you have to trust is your own heart. So if your heart says more orange, get more orange. Alright. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was looking for, right there. Excellent. It's always nice to get exactly what you want. Even though it doesn't happen very often. Am I right? So anyway, trying to make sure. Sometimes you smell things, you're like, what am I smelling? Especially if you live in an apartment, sometimes you just smell things, you're like, what? Sometimes it's just food, but then sometimes it's like, illicit substances that you smell, and you're like, okay. I don't mean like, the tame kind of illicit substances, but like, things shouldn't smell like that. That kind of smell. Like, there's no thing under heaven that should smell that way. And you smell it coming from the vents, you're like, that's troubling. But fortunately, it hasn't been like that for quite some time. But there was a time. And then the humidity is finally settling into Louisiana. Like a hot, soaked blanket. Just, dousing the landscape. In an unrefreshing, moist mist. But that's spring for you. It is. I was thinking to myself, like as I was getting out of my vehicle today and a wasp rams itself into the side view mirror, I noted to myself, spring's finally here. And then that wasp, like, then proceeded to try and slam its body into my head. Fortunately, nobody was harmed in the incident. Although I have been, like, there's been this funny thing that's been happening as I've been learning Tai Chi where I've noticed, like, my reflexes have been getting kind of, like, crazy, like, quick. Like, my reflex as the wasp was, like, coming at my head was, like, I basically, like, bent over backward and, like, was about to strike it. And I was like, well, what am I doing? It's a wasp. Like, it's not... It hasn't even stung me or anything. It's just being goofy. Not that I'm not a big fan of wasps. That's the problem. They don't even, like... I've never been stung by a wasp. But I'm just not a big... Like, they just look evil. Like, it's unfortunate for them. Because they haven't really done anything, but nature just made them in a way where they just, like, look like trouble. They just look like, you know, like they mean to do harm no matter where they go. Like if wasps looked like bumblebees, nobody would care. They'd just be like, oh, look at that cute wasp. But, you know, for whatever reason, nature devised them to look like they are ready to go to war with the bug kingdom. And so every time I see a wasp, I'm always kind of on guard. They really need like wasps really need like a good public relations campaign. And then like I was thinking, oh, you know, they could have stripes, but I don't think stripes would help them. I think that would just be worse. It's like, oh, red or yellow stripes. No, that'll just make them look even more aggressive. Like, I've only ever seen one mortar... what are they called? Murder hornets? Yeah. I've only ever seen one murder hornet. And the sound that they make alone is just super intimidating. They just sound like... I mean, they pretty much sound like a drone. It's really kind of creepy. They're going to have a pretty hard public relations campaign, too, but probably harder than the wasps. The wasps really have it bad. Alright, so now I'm going to get started here on the chainmail. And I was hoping this, I think I need more of the ivory black. It's a little too... Fortunately, I have a bunch already kind of doled out here on the palette. So I don't really have to do that much. Like, here's a great example with what I was talking about with wasps. It's like, wasps look the way they do. And, you know, they do sting people, and they can be aggressive at times. But, you know, everybody has it out for them, right? Because they look the way they look. Snow geese, you know, you don't want to mess with snow geese. They mean business. But they also look kind of cute in their way, too. Like, they look very cute and they mean business. They're very curious, like, as far as waterfowl go. they're a very curious combo. Because they even look like the way that I say water geese, snow geese, the way they like walk around, the way they like, go about in their flocks, they look militaristic. Like they, like they look like they're ready to go to war, even though they're just like ready to go to war in some like grass and like some bugs or whatever. Um, but they have a good public relations campaign. Wasps, not so much. I don't know why I have so much empathy for wasps today. I guess it's because some part of me was like, I could have killed that wasp. I don't think that's true. I probably would have smacked it, right? I would have probably smacked it with a good Tai Chi strike, and then like it would have just flown away. Like, oh, okay, I'm not doing that again. Um, I guess this guy's not gonna have pants. That's fine. And then this is where I break out the brown. Do I have any brown? Oh, I do. I'll use that brown. Like, what if they gave wasps, like, little eyeglasses? Maybe that would help. Or turtleneck sweaters. Just something, anything. Anything to, like, change the whole, like, we look like we want to kill you. We look like we want to impregnate you with our young. I know well, some do, actually. There are some wasps that do that. I think that's the other thing. It's just the knowledge that there are, in fact, wasps in nature that do that, but none of them, I don't think they live in the United States. And they only really do that to caterpillars, so. Unfortunately, not a caterpillar. And not the kind of caterpillar that would fall prey to such a thing. But they're out there. Alright. Almost done with the base colors, although I still need to do the shaft of the spear. I was going to say sphere, but it's a spear. I may need to change water in a second here, too. Alright. I don't have anything preloaded for that. I mean, I guess I could use the brown. Oh, I also, like, literally missed another thing. That's goofy. I should do that. Hold on. Well, this was going to be brown, too. Okay. Now, like I was saying, I need another color for this. So I'm probably going to use yellow ochre. It's usually one of my go-tos. Right here. And today in yoga class was the second day that I did a headstand. So I felt pretty chuffed about that. Although it wasn't, I mean, there are two main poses where I'm like making a lot of progress where I previously like didn't think I could do at all. One's called will. I don't even describe will pose. It's like you start from on your back and then you lift from your pelvis. So like your heels to your pelvis, you start lifting, and then you're using, it's a back bend, and you're like basically like pretty much hanging upside down, but from the front. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a very difficult pose to do, but it's very satisfying if you can pull it off, because you, I mean, it's about as satisfying as doing a headstand. It's just a very nice, like, oh, that's cool. I didn't think I could do that kind of a thing. But it is difficult and requires a lot of like upper body strength and back strength. And part of the reason why I even started doing yoga was because I was really like having issues with core strength, having a lot of back pain, stuff like that. And so I wanted to fix that. And it's been a nice feeling because it's like, oh, these are poses I always thought I would never be able to do. And then it helps to have like teachers that are very, how would I put this? They're like, you don't have to do this, but you should at least try. Kind of an attitude. And with that attitude, it is like, it's a curious sort of encouraging attitude. I don't know if that makes sense. But it is encouraging when it's like you break everything down into small steps. And so as you take like those small steps, you get to a point where it's like, okay, I think I get this. I can, oh, that is like way too dark. That is way, way too dark. I did not want it to be like that. Dang. I'll just have to deal with that. I gotta water this down a little bit more. It's not that bad, but it's just like, it wasn't quite what I wanted. So I'm putting down, see, there it is again. It's like there's an issue with Payne's Gray, I feel like. Like it's a very tricky color to work with sometimes, if you want subtlety. I guess if you don't want subtlety, it's fine. See, that's what I want right there. That's what I'm looking for. But yeah, I mean, just about anything becomes possible if you can break it down into like small chunks. Small, easy to manage chunks make very difficult things not so difficult. Damn near doable, even. Because I think in the past I've gone to like yoga classes where it's kind of like, well, you either do it or you don't do it, and they don't like try and break it down at all. And it's just like you see people do headstands. They're like, well, you know, if you don't feel up to doing a headstand, you don't have to do it, and then that's it, right? And they don't really say anything about like, well, if you did want to do it, here's what you could do. And this is the first. This is the first like studio I've gone to where they're like, if you do want to do it, here's how you can do it. And I still have to use a wall as like a training tool, right? But I really don't use the wall that much. I just kind of use it as like my feet might tap it if I'm going too far back, and I can readjust course. Now there are still other poses in yoga where I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ever going to do this thing. Especially as you get into the more like pretzel twisty type stuff, and it's just like I don't really like the way that my body is shaped. My arms are quite long, and my torso, like proportionally to my arms, is probably not quite long enough for certain poses to make sense, in certain yoga poses to make sense. And I've come up against this a couple of times in the past. All right. This one is done. So I think I'm going to... Oh, hold on. Take care of this real quick. I don't think there's anything else I need to do for this one. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like this is good. We're good. So, remove the tape. Oh, it's the smell of the tape that I was smelling. Why does this tape smell like that? This is the first time I've ever noticed that. It's a pretty intense odor. We'll move on to the next one. Start by taping it down. Oh my god. There was paint on my finger. What is going on? Ugh. I don't like it. I don't think y'all can see that on the camera. It's not that intense of a color, but it's still annoying. Okay, not that big of a deal. Here, I'll move the camera up slightly so you can see that better. It's not... Maybe we could center this better? What? Hold on, y'all. Maybe we can, like... Yeah, there we go. Alright. You only get so close to perfect. Yeah, the tape smells weird. Gonna hydrate real quick. Okay. I want to do one more thing before we start painting, if you'll allow me this indulgence. Okay. Just wanted to check on something. Oop. Alright, here we go. Back to painting. Where do I want to start? Do I just do the same old thing that I did last time? Or should I try something different? Alright. I'm noticing this right arm, the way I did it was kind of awkward. I'm not sure how much anybody will care, but I care. It's just kind of bothering me, but whatever. Sometimes you just notice things. It's like you have to let go of it as soon as you notice it. There's a couple of things with this particular illustration where I'm just like, it's not my best. Oops. You know, it's funny I called this the solar Preclipse stream and I haven't even talked about the solar eclipse at all. I don't even know if I'm going to, like, see it tomorrow, because, like, for one, it might just be cloudy tomorrow. I mean, it's pretty cloudy tonight. I mean, unless like things change, I don't. Uh, there might not be a whole lot to see. Like, it might just get darker for a little bit and then it's done. Also, where I live, like in Louisiana, we're only getting like. I mean, it would still be cool to see, but it's only like a 30% eclipse. We're not in the range of totality. I did see an eclipse like that when I was in Portland, Oregon, back in 20. Was that 2016? Ooh, that was an ominous year. Ooh. So I don't know what people are thinking with this eclipse. Do they feel like, oh, is this ominous? Is it like, what kind of Oh no, Beefcat says, I drove to Fort Worth and it's cloudy, about to ruin my week. That sucks. Hopefully it clears out in Fort Worth. But yeah, currently it kind of seems like the weather is not like cooperating with a lot of people who are in range. Definitely not in Louisiana. Maybe go get some Oregon cloudbusters. No, that actually does the exact opposite. Allegedly, we get you more clouds. I don't know. How do you get rid of clouds? I'll do that. Yeah. What a bummer would that be if like it's like that over the whole United States. Nobody gets a good look at the eclipse. It's just like, sorry. In Fort Worth, because if I understand, I think you live pretty near to where I live. You probably had to do quite a drive to get to Fort Worth. It's quite a trip. I know I have a friend in Baton Rouge who's like cleaning his telescope today to get ready for the eclipse. Who knows? Weather in the South can be funny. One day it's cloudy and muggy, and the next it's like clear blue skies. May you get the best possible view of the eclipse that you can get, Beef Cat. May the clouds clear in an almost miraculous fashion so you can get like the best possible view. That might even be more interesting than the eclipse itself. You just see a big ring of clouds just suddenly like clearing the sky. You see the sun disappear into total darkness. Well, not total darkness, but you know what I mean. This orange is going much further than I thought it would. Yeah, I don't know. If the clouds do clear out here in Louisiana, I'll probably at least try and look out the window. I don't even know what time it's happening. I don't even. I need to actually like look and see what time it's happening because I'm like, this happened to me there was another eclipse recently last year, I think. Um, I went to go have lunch with my dad, and both of us were completely clueless that it was a thing going on. And I remember stepping outside after we ate, and I was like, "Oh, it's like unusually cool outside." And like I definitely noted to myself that like the sky, like everything just seemed sort of odd. The lighting seemed odd because we were like we weren't anywhere near totality during that past eclipse that I'm referring to, and like I don't think it was super obvious. And I was just like, oh, that's strange. And then like later on, I looked at the news. I was like, oh, there was an eclipse today. Wait, what? So like, that shows how clueless I am with a lot of things. But I think that one, I'm pretty sure it was last year. I'm pretty sure that one last year was like a partial eclipse. I don't think it was a total eclipse. But I don't. I mean, if you're listening to me talk about this, I'm pretty uninformed, which is another like part of the irony of me calling this a solar preclipse stream. Like I even care. Like I do kind of care because I'm interested, but I'm also like I clearly have not put any sort of research into the subject. I'm just like I just know that it's something that on a lot of people's minds. I'm interested to hear what people have to say if they have anything to say. Because it's a big thing for a lot of people. And I've certainly showed up to eclipses in the past. Like I said, the one in Portland was a pretty big one. That one, like I said, that one was a super eerie one, and like that was one of those eclipses where like everything was like super red and like, oh, that's the wrong color. No, it's not what I want. Time to cheat. Um, I mean, I don't think that was a total. I don't think we were in totality for that eclipse, but it was still a pretty weird one. this is a slightly trickier painting. Just slightly. If any of y'all out there have favorite eclipse stories, let me know. I wouldn't say that I have favorite eclipse stories, I just have very partial memories about previous eclipses. Like, my first one was like, I think that was 3rd grade. And that was another one where it was like, I don't think it wasn't totality, it was like partial. And once again, like the sky went very like orangey, reddy kind of reddish color. Like I always noticed, like this is in my child brain, I was like, must be what it's like on Mars. Just because of the general redness of everything. But we did that thing where we didn't have glasses. I don't know if this was before the glasses. I don't think it was before that. It was just like the teachers couldn't afford them or something. I don't know. Anyway, we did this thing where it was like, look through the pinhole on the cardboard, and then you see like the little pinhole of light through the cardboard, and you kind of can see the sun go over it. It wasn't very impressive, even as a child. I was just like, okay. It took a lot of will not to just look up. Although I think I peeked. I'm pretty sure I peeked up. I like snuck a peek because I was like, this is BS. I'm pretty sure I snuck a peek on that eclipse. I had glasses for the 2016 eclipse. So I got a pretty good look. But I've never had an opportunity to see like one of those really like super dramatic, what do they call that? Oh man, I bumped my elbow on a corner. That hurt. Where you have the totality of the eclipse and you see the sun's corona from behind the moon. I don't remember what it's called. Just like is that the penumbra? I think that's what it is. I may have just made that up, but I think it's called the penumbra. Or something like that. Alright. Time to do some shadows. Will I have the same difficulties that I had last time? Maybe. Oh no. I already am having... Oh god. Y'all probably noticed it before I did. Everything's going wrong. I used too much water. You know, you're getting some spillage. Although not too big of a deal. I don't think. Seems like it's okay. Yeah, Payne's Gray is tricky. This is a tricky color for doing what I'm trying to do with it. to really just dab it. Be delicate. Sometimes the paint doesn't want to work with you. You gotta learn how to negotiate. And when negotiation doesn't work, you have a real problem. This Payne's gray is driving me nuts. Just does not want to cooperate today. I don't know what I did to it, but it doesn't like it. There's just problems. Sometimes you just have a painting where there's just problems. You didn't even do anything. There's just problems arise. Might have to do some touching up on this one. Oh, right there. I would like to cast a shadow across her. Like that. Cool. Hopefully I'm not like recreating the same problem over again. It might be. But, Yep, this is becoming a mess. I think I can get this to work though. Yeah, alright. I think I'm not. I'm gonna let that dry. We'll come back to it later. Sometimes your only solution is to let it dry and come back to it later. Not my favorite solution. Final painting. Couple adjustments to the paint I'm using here. Okay. Nope. Trying to get everything better situated. Once again, starting with the flesh tone. Added more that ripe sienna color. So this guy looks like he has a tan, looks a little more seasoned than the other two. I'm gonna get this last painting out of my face. It's bothering me. It's like distracting me. I had it off to the side where I could see it in the side view, and I was just like, oh, don't look at it, don't look at it. I can fix it later. I'm getting super focused here, so. I think next week I want to do a stream. I'd use a couple more drawings. I want to do some more landscape paintings. I'm definitely going to do some streams where I'm working on the Legend of Redneck. As for tomorrow, I may or may not do a stream. I'm thinking about maybe doing a landscape stream tomorrow, but that's kind of up in the air. It depends on. I think it's largely going to depend on how I feel after I go to Tai Chi practice. Because I suspect I'm going to feel tired. But maybe not. Sometimes I come back from Tai Chi and I feel like totally not tired at all. Got all that chi running around or whatever. But that last painting that I did last week, the one with like the red and the blue colors, there are a couple people who watch that or either watch the stream or like saw it when I posted on Instagram that really seemed to like it a lot more than I did. I think that I came away from that particular painting kind of feeling like it didn't quite meet my expectations. It's really funny, like high end painters that like I'm probably over comparing, or like maybe it's imposter syndrome. Who knows? I have a lot of people accuse me of imposter syndrome, so maybe that's exactly what it is. I don't know. Anyway, my whole point of that is that I'm often surprised by the reception that a lot of those paintings get. But I'm glad y'all like them. That's really my roundabout way of saying I'm glad y'all like them. Oh, I missed a thing. I think the other thing too is like with the paintings, I don't put as much emotional, and this might be why. This might have a lot to do with it too. I don't put as much emotional. I don't have as much emotional baggage tied into them. I can kind of do them and like walk away from them and not feel like this has to be important, you know? Which is part of what makes, I think, any kind of art. It definitely helps make art looser and like more approachable when you have that attitude of like, well, you know, this thing could just be total crap and I could walk away from it and that's okay. And that's actually an issue I have with comics. Like I love comics and I love writing stories and all that stuff, but I will say if there's one issue with it, once you get started on a story, you get really emotionally tied into it, wrapped up into it, and that can at times present a challenge to having like objectivity in how you approach it, and how you approach the story, and how you approach like, oh, should the story go on longer or shorter, blah blah blah. Oh, this is too brown. I need more. I don't like how brown that is. Speaking of getting emotionally tied up with something, I mean, it's an issue that I think a lot of artists suffer with at some point or another, but, you know, the artists who really, like, accelerate their work and get to a point of, like, really just making stuff and not holding themselves back are the ones who are able to just like emotionally detach a good deal from what they're making to a certain extent. You don't want to be so emotionally detached that you're doing like, you know, robotic factory work, but you do want to emotionally attach enough that you're able to just go, okay, if this works, this works. If it doesn't work, I'll live with it. I can move on. I can do something else. I can make another painting. I could draw another drawing. It's not going to be the end of the world if this doesn't turn out to be the greatest thing I've ever done. Because the other thing is like, I mean, ultimately, the thing that determines whether or not what you're doing is the greatest thing ever done isn't you. You're not going to ever really determine that. People who enjoy your work might, you know, determine that in some sense. But you know, ultimately the the work takes on its own life, and you kind of just get to sit back and see what happens with that. And I'm still learning how to like get into that zen quality of art making where I'm just like not invested so much. And like I said, I can do that with painting, especially the landscape paintings. I can do that pretty easy. Now, if I could like approach some of my comics and illustration work with that attitude, I think that could really help me out a lot in a lot of ways. I mean, really, like a lot of things in life. It could help me with a lot of things in life if I could approach just life in general in that way. Of like, it's okay, I can move on. I don't have to be so emotionally invested in every little thing. Cool. I'm going to take the red. Use that right here. And I'm probably going to use that same red for the shield, but for the sword, maybe the Payne's Gray, I guess. Took a little too much water. Dadgummit. Dadgummit. Right. And then use the red for the shield. General character design principles. Keep down the number of colors you use to as few as possible. This is more than my usual of 3. It's about 4. Yes, 4. I guess technically 5 if you count the shading color. I don't really count it. Maybe I should. I don't know. This was hard. This was this is very difficult for me, but I got through it. This took a lot of concentration for some reason. Okay. I'm gonna let that dry for a second. I'm gonna take this. Ooh, look how. Ooh, yuck. Take that water, put it to the side real quick. Ooh, get it all over my keyboard. That's a shame. Breaking everything, corroding it with watercolor water. No, it's all good. Some nice fresh water, which I probably should have broken out a lot sooner, but whatever. Go in and throw in our shade. Ooh. That's the thing with watercolor is it helps to be really fast, right? The quicker you are, and also like the fewer strokes that you can do your work in, the better the results. I've definitely seen some stuff on some YouTube stuff where there are people who they have some really like highly finessed watercolor techniques where they break down what they do into like the kind of strokes that they use, the kind of brush that they use, and they basically almost like preload their color scheme onto their brush as they put it to paper. I'm clearly not at that stage yet, but something to aim for. Okay, is this done? Almost, but not quite. There we go. I think that's done. Let's try and zoom in. It's still drying. Alright. I think that's it for me tonight. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Hope y'all have a good rest of your evening. And a good day tomorrow. Before I go, there is one thing I want to do very quickly. If I have a moment of your time, I can get this thing going. I do want to thank my Patreon members at the $10 level and above, if y'all don't mind. So, eternal gratitude goes to Troy Morris and Paul Rainwater. Special thanks to Pharmacist Judge Danielle Rainwater, Leo Empire, Dark Link, Matt Walters, GFY, Sudi Shearwater, John Durrett. And if you want your own special appreciation at the end of these streams or at the end of episodes of The Legend of Redneck or anything else that I self-publish, you can check out the link in my description. Go to my Patreon. Otherwise, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for... I was about to quote Golden Girls. Well, why not? Thank you for being a friend. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening, a wonderful solar eclipse tomorrow, if you happen to check that out. Otherwise, I will see y'all in the future. Okay? Bye.